There has been a sudden rise in people who herald themselves as the new generation of scientists. They scoff at what they label as mainstream physics, the very statement being contradictive by nature. When asked how it all works, they reply with generalities. But I digress. Let's take a YouTube case study. I came upon a YouTube channel named 9 Nines. This channel is most likely a throwaway channel, or as I like to call them, no-name channels. However, it seems like in this case they also suffer from no brains as well. The video uses lingo unfamiliar to the general populace, and thus making his argument seem more legitimate than the pile of shit it is. I didn't bother go looking for the actual person, as this guy's nothing special. Now, I see myself as a Machiavellian connoisseur, which is the beautified version of a bullshit artist. One thing I found from being a bullshit artist is that I can automatically detect my fellow artists. Okay, let's just play this video.
And I want to start by telling you about the historical development of quantum theory, as this history is told by physicists today.
Oh, okay. I like physics history. Bring it on, man.
Now, the so-called history that physicists believe is so absurd that I've decided to present it to you as a fairy tale.
So not really history.
Now, the so-called history that physicists believe is so absurd that I've decided to present it to you as a fairy tale.
Side note here, fairy tales could never put me to sleep. Weird.
Well, this fairy tale serves the same purpose. It has put physicists to sleep for the past 70 years. Here it is. Once upon a time, there was a land of happy physicists. They were happy because they made rapid progress in understanding the world around them. Above all, they were happy because they believed in an intelligible, lawful universe that was entirely open to the human mind, waiting to be discovered. Tragically, this belief turned out to be based on nothing more than naivety and ignorance. One day the physicists began observing the world more carefully, performing more experiments, gathering more facts, and they made the most startling and profound discovery of all time. They discovered that the world is not lawful or intelligible. At the most fundamental level, it is ruled not by causality, but by sheer chance. And this wasn't all. The new experiments prove that the basic constituents of matter don't even exist with specific properties until we observe them. They pop into existence when we measure them. Now, even though these new discoveries were very exciting, the physicists felt sad that their happy predecessors had been wrong. After all, they thought, it would be nice to live in a world of physical things that really existed with definite properties. Things that always acted in accordance with their properties. But alas, there is no such world. No matter how much the physicists might wish for it, facts are facts, and the scientific objectivity required them to accept the conclusions that followed from the observations. And the sad truth is that the physical world isn't. It isn't real, it isn't causal, it isn't intelligible. As lovers of truth, the physicists not only had to accept this new discovery, they had to acknowledge it as their crowning achievement and the most profound insight in the history of science. In the end, the physicists all gave each other Nobel Prizes and lived happily ever after. At least they were happy whenever anyone observed them. The rest of the time they remained in an indeterminate state.
That pun was epic. Okay, but we should note that he initially sets the scientific history as fake. He forms an us versus them narrative to distance physicists from the general society. Once you ostracize a group of people, you're also rendering their ideas, beliefs, etc. as obsolete.
Now, that is the official history, as presented in thousands of books and lectures today. Nearly every physics professor in the country believes that fairy tale. One could almost say that believing it is a prerequisite for getting a job at a university. So, is it true? Well, you should be suspicious.
Yeah, everyone should be suspicious to a healthy level. So, what? Go redo the experiments. Come up with a different conclusion to all these experiments done within history. Don't just immediately label them as bullshit.
Consider the claim that the observed facts have refuted identity. That is, refuted the fact that to be is to be something. And that the observations have refuted causality, the fact that an entity's actions are determined by its nature. Now let's say that we doubt this claim. So we ask the quantum physicists, are you saying you've seen an entity without identity? A something that was nothing in particular? And if you have, what did it look like?
No, you idiot. No quantum physicists have seen an electron because it's so damn small. The whole point is that light disturbs experiments, so if we try to see stuff, it also impacts our observation. Thus, the observations are nearly all indeterminate, basically hard to pin down.
Well, the physicist concedes he hasn't actually seen such a thing. He knows they exist, but every time he looks at them, they turn into something specific. His act of observation gives them identity, but they were nothing in particular before he looked. And because of this lack of identity, he is forced, against his will, to renounce causality. The actions of an entity cannot be caused by its nature because it hasn't got one. Now, just to give you your money's worth for this course, I've decided to go out on a limb here. I hereby guarantee you that there are not and never will be any observations that cast any doubt on the ideas of identity and causality. Thank you.
Let's unwrap that for a second. This con artist of a physicist is basically claiming that since we observe something definite when we try, using his words, see it, thus we can't say the previous thing exists. Well, no. The whole point is that if you do the same experiment consistently, you should acquire the same results each time. But in this case, we don't. Thus, it's indeterminate.
Thank you. I can't be too proud of that.
You can't be proud of that at all.
Every observation is an observation of specific things acting in strict accordance with their specific natures. There's nothing else to observe. That exhausts the inventory of the universe. There are no observations, no experimental results that could possibly explain why the physicists who developed quantum theory rejected identity and causality.
Because we get different results by repeating the same experiments. I hope you didn't bet on this.
What we find is that German physicists emphatically rejected causality before the development of quantum theory.
Faith has nothing to do with experimentation. Somebody needs to throw a friggin' computer at this guy.
What we find is that German physicists emphatically rejected causality before the development of quantum theory.
Interesting. The video ends up with blaming it all on Nazis, which is kinda expected though. I just want to point out that people like these have holes in their arguments, although subtle, which can be easily exposed. He plays on the emotion of the audience instead of using logic. A typical bullshit artist. Aight guys, what really matters is what you think. Do you think physics is a fairy tale and this computer you are using right now is working on magic? If so, you might just want to check yourself into a mental hospital. Honestly, discuss this in the comment section, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Keep it real, folks.